Hi, it's so good to see you. I hope you've been well. I hope the week has been treating you okay. Valentine's Day is around the corner, by the way. Didn't know if you knew that. I mean, maybe you did. Maybe that's why you're here if you looked at the title of this video. I point up, but I know it's there. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're full screen. I know there are a lot of different perspectives on the day, but for me, I just love a reason to celebrate something. I love a reason to make a day different than the day before it, and I think this is no exception. Now, I, for one, am gonna be spending this Valentine's Day at home with just me here, but whether you are spending it also with yourself or with a friend, with a partner, with your family, with a group of friends, there's so many things that you can do to make it just a fun day or a fun night. And so I put together a list of a bunch of different ideas that I'm gonna also choose from to put together my Valentine's Day, but I wanted to share it with you in case you're looking for some inspiration. Maybe you didn't plan on doing anything, but now you're like, maybe I'll just do one or two of these things. Or maybe you need a whole plan for the night. Hopefully you can use this video as a guide for you. So one thing you can do is kind of treat this like an event, because one of the first things I usually look for, or I ask if I'm ever invited somewhere, heavy on the if, is what's the attire? For a night like this, one of the first things I would do is I would set like a theme. I would choose the attire for the night. So whether it's just you or a group of people, it's really fun to kind of pick a category to dress in, whether it's a color like red, whether you want to go with like a floral theme where you can dress in like your favorite flowers type of colors. You can wear a lot of floral accessories. You can do something upscale where you can just dress in whatever you would consider to be fancy. You can dress down if you'd like. You can wear PJs, treat it like a slumber party. That's really fun. I think I'm gonna end up doing that. I also think there's a really good opportunity for accessories to shine, whether it's like some fun sunglasses or a necklace or a bracelet or rings. You can even get a little crafty and make your own accessories. I think that could be really fun too. And ultimately, I think this is something that you can do whether you're alone or with one other person or multiple people. I think it works the same across the board. So it's not limited to just one of those types of situations. And in terms of preparation for this, I would say the two things are to pick a theme beforehand, so you have like time to prepare and you know what to expect. And also maybe try on some outfit combinations in case you see that you're missing something or you want to pick something up or you want to fill in a blank and you need a little bit more time for it. Just gives you an opportunity to do that without stressing out too much. Another idea that I think is fun for this kind of night is watching a movie, but not just watching a movie, recreating the cinema experience. And by this, I mean selling fake tickets, paying with fake money, having concessions like little candies, making your own popcorn, getting different popcorn seasonings, having different drinks available, just doing the things that you would normally have at a movie theater, but bringing it into your own space. This is really nice if you have another person with you or several other people with you, because then you can like pretend to be the person who is providing all of these services. But if you are spending the night with just yourself, you could also just set the stuff up beforehand and then live the experience as if you are an average moviegoer going to see a movie. And if you do end up making like fake tickets or a little movie flyer, then you can save that afterwards as a memory of the night. One tip that I do recommend for this is picking a time and sticking to it. Pretend like it's out of your control after you've locked it in. My reasoning is that one, it's just like more realistic, and I think that the more realistic it feels, the more fun it ends up being. And two, it gives you a little bit of control over the night, because sometimes time can slip away and then you might be a little tired or you end up not watching the movie. And if anything, if you're ready earlier, then you can prepare some YouTube videos or some movie trailers to watch beforehand, like little previews. There are a lot of ways that you can kind of add to this experience, and I think they're all very fun. And for preparation, I would just say pick up some snacks ahead of time, pick a movie and make sure that you have a way to watch it. And like I said, pick a time to actually start. I do think this is one of those plans that works whether you're just one person or you're several people, so fine tune it however you'd like, but this is definitely a good option for the night if you're looking for something to fill in the time. Now when it comes to food, I like to think of three different approaches here. There's cooking the meal as an activity, there's baking or making the dessert as the activity, and there's eating the food as the activity. Each of these are really fun in their own way, but I think that depending on different factors like how many people you're with, how much space you have, what you're ultimately going to eat, all of these kind of play a role in which one is more ideal for a night like this. Some foods that I really like making that I think are ideal for this are dumplings, because you can get very creative with the fillings and you can do it as a collective group if needed. Tacos are also a really good choice because you can get almost all the ingredients already ready to go, and then you could just spend the night making the tortillas and then everyone can kind of pick and choose what they want to put in it. Another fun option is pizza. If you do this, I would recommend making the dough ahead of time or just buying the dough already made, and then you can make like a little heart-shaped pizza or whatever shape you want to do, and you can decorate it the way that you want, put whatever toppings you want. I think that a good way to find different foods that you want to make if you're looking for inspiration, like look at websites where they have different cooking classes or like activities that you can sign up for maybe with a friend. Use those as inspiration. I've seen like pasta making classes. There's so many options out there. If you don't want to commit to making like a full meal, then making a dessert is sometimes a little bit easier. Some things that I've made in the past are lava cakes. Those are surprisingly easy to make. You just need like some ramekins or something small. You can also use a muffin tin if you have that available. Another option I think is really good are crepes, because you can make ones that are savory or sweet, and there's a lot of variety that you can put in, and they're pretty easy to put together. Now with all that said, don't forget to find a good playlist for this. I like to listen to some like jazzy music, sometimes some like 90s, 2000s R&B, sometimes some mid 2000s pop. If you're around my age, can like really hit. Now, if you want to avoid like cooking or baking and you want to focus a little bit more on the actual eating experience, then one thing you can do is you can role play like a restaurant. You can make a little menu, you can light some candles, put a nice tablecloth and just kind of a nice set out, whatever you think adds to the experience. That can also be a very fun way to enjoy your meal and do something special in the night without having to spend time on the actual cooking part. Now, in terms of who this is most ideal for, I think that if it is just you or you and one, maybe two other people, I think cooking and baking can be very fun. Now, if you are a larger group, I'd probably recommend having food ready ahead of time or ordering in, or just having something that you could throw into the oven with a timer and not think about too much, because things can get a little bit more stressful when you have a lot of people in the room. Now, in terms of what you can do ahead of time, if you are cooking, I would highly recommend picking a recipe ahead of time and grocery shopping for it, like days or at least a day in advance, just in case you can't find what you need or you're missing some things. It really does help alleviate the stress that can come with purchasing things on the day of. Now, if you want something a little bit more active, games are a really fun way to spice up the night. Now, there are options for this for whether it's just you or if there are other people involved. If you are in a group with at least one other person apart from yourself, there are a lot of fun question games that you can find. There are like physical card versions, there are online question games, there are also board games that you can play. A fan favorite is little eels and escalators. And when it comes to something like a board game, that is where house rules come in. This is where you can make up whatever rules you want on top of the rules that already exist in the game. When you land on a space, when you draw a certain card, that is an opportunity to spice it up a little bit. A fun way to set house rules is you can write them down if you'd like, or you can make a little spinny wheel online and just like fill it with a bunch of options. Some ideas of things you can add are taking a sip of a drink, answering a truth or dare, texting an ex, doing a freestyle dance for like 30 seconds, scrolling to a random photo in your camera roll. There are obviously an endless amount of possibilities for this, and they can be as flirty or as silly as you'd like them to be. And if you are spending Valentine's Day with just yourself, honestly, I like to immerse myself in like single player story games. I love choice-based games because they feel kind of cinematic. Ultimately, choose something that you enjoy, and I think it's gonna be a very fun time. And if you are a group, then any of the stuff I mentioned before I think works perfectly fine. In terms of preparation for this, if you are going to be finding some spicy questions or preparing a little spinny wheel, I've noticed there's an abundance of like truth or dare type questions and personal questions online. There's so many lists out there, and they are very fun to kind of go through, but it does take time. And also sometimes you don't want to see all the questions in the moment while you're vetting different lists. So it helps to look at that ahead of time. That way when the day actually comes, it's basically fresh again. Another thing that I love to do is have a crafting night. Some ideas that I think are extra fun for like a Valentine's themed crafting night are making cards for each other, making bracelets or necklaces. Painting is a really fun activity. If you want, you could even put on like a Bob Ross video and just like paint with it. If you have at least one other person with you, then you can do like a finish the drawing type of thing where you start and then you swap and then they continue and then you can swap again, or you can like fold the paper in half and then you do the top half and they do the bottom half and you see how they connect. If you wanted to go with more of like an assembly route, you can get a puzzle or Legos. This is also definitely one of those activities where I recommend having a good playlist on in the background to just kind of like set the mood and fit the vibe that you're going for that night. These activities also work for any size group, including if it is just yourself. So feel free to get creative with it. If you don't know where to begin and you don't know what you're interested in, I would recommend going to a crafting store and just browsing around and see if anything interests you. Sometimes you'll find like a kit of a certain type of craft that you've never done before, and you can learn something new and also make something creative. And then in terms of preparation, I would obviously say just pick a craft ahead of time and then maybe pick up what you need just so you're not scrambling the day of. I really like to have photos as memories of nights like this. I know some people prefer to like fully live in the moment. I like a little bit of a balance because I do find that I look back at my camera roll and I do reminisce, and sometimes the photos come in handy when it's someone's birthday, if you need to change that profile picture that you've had active for the last like 7 years. There are a lot of reasons why you might want to take pictures in a night, and I think that Valentine's Day is a great time to do so. So some ways that I like to go about this are setting up a little corner with some decorations that you can take pictures in. Another way is to maybe just have a camera handy throughout the night, a digital camera, a Polaroid, maybe even a disposable camera, and just kind of leave it to the side so that throughout the night, it's very quick to just grab it, take a picture, and go without disturbing the flow of stuff. And remember, even if you take blurry photos, even if you take a picture with your phone and it's on that low lighting mode and it takes like 4 seconds and you didn't expect it to and you give up after 2, so it's just a blurry mess, anything that captures the moment, however it does, I think is a wonderful photo. I think it's just a good memory of the night, even if you can't even tell what's going on in it. I think it's just nice to have. And then a little reminder is that nobody has to see these photos. So if you take 100 pictures of yourself and you don't like any single one, that's okay. I mean, we're gonna work on that, but for the sake of all of this, that's okay. And if you are with other people, your friends are gonna appreciate it so much. And I think just having a camera handy can really enhance an experience and make a memory last a lifetime. Wow, that sounded so cheesy. Oh, I can go for some cheese right now. You can also make a charcuterie board. Now this is something that you can kind of do passively throughout the other activities. I think it works for groups of all sizes, including if it is just you. And in terms of preparation, I would just say have a camera ready. If you're using a digital camera, just make sure it's charged, make sure it has a memory card that has space in it. But apart from that, you can also just use your phone. All in all, I just think it's nice to have photos of the night. Now this one I just think is really funny, and it's to have a presentation night. I don't know if you've ever seen these online, but essentially you just kind of pick a topic, oftentimes a very specific topic, and you just make a presentation out of it. It could be Valentine's Day themed, it could be love themed, it could be whatever you want. And some ideas that you can kind of branch off of is like rating fictional characters on how they'd be as roommates, movies that would be a lot better if they were rated R. Or you could take the other approach and pick rated R movies that would be a lot better if they were rated PG. And if you're still looking for inspiration, I'd say maybe looking at like niche online quizzes or tier lists. They're very good at giving you just very random ideas that you maybe didn't consider until you see it in front of you. Now for this one, I think that if it is just you for the night, it may not be as entertaining, although I think there's always a way. But this idea definitely works a lot better if you're with a bigger group, at least one other person, but in general, just having several people do it, I think adds to the experience and it gives you a little bit more variety in the night. And then in terms of preparation for this, I would just say picking the topic and actually putting together the presentation. Okay, so now that we've laid out a bunch of different options, let's go through how to plan out the night so that it's not stressful and there isn't too much work ahead of us and we can just have a nice little Valentine's Day. Things we mentioned were picking a theme or setting the attire, cooking a meal, making a dessert, creating like a dining experience, creating a cinema, movie theater type experience, getting involved in different crafts, playing juicy games, taking pictures, and putting together a fun little presentation. So depending on whether you just want to pick one quick thing or put together an entire night, you got a lot of options, but you can't do all of them. I mean, you can, honestly. I mean, by all means. But some suggestions that I have are, if you're going for something that's a little bit lower effort, I would say maybe pick the movie theater idea, get a movie, pick a time. If you want, you can get some candy and just kind of make that the night. You don't need to do too much above the movie selection and the time. Or if you still want something lower effort, but you want a little kitchen baking moment, then I would recommend getting like a boxed dessert, perhaps a brownie mix. Usually those recipes involve just throwing stuff into a bowl, putting it in the oven. It's like a little bit of effort, but it's pretty easy and you get a really good dessert out of it. Now this year, I think I'm going for something that's a little bit higher effort. And if you are too, then I would recommend probably picking a theme for the attire and then choosing between either a crafting activity or a cooking activity, depending on who you're gonna be spending it with, if you are spending it with someone else. And then I'd close out the night with maybe some juicy games. And then throughout the night, just keep a camera handy and take a bunch of pictures. Now, if you're a larger group, I would still start off with the theme because I love a good theme. And then if you want, you can maybe pre-bake cookies or buy cookies that are not decorated and maybe get some frosting or sprinkles. And you can kind of merge the crafting and the baking together by having everyone decorate their own cookies. I think it could be a really fun activity. And then of course, finish off the night with a fun movie or presentations or the juicy games. Like I said, go a very long way and they're usually good at creating some core memories. Again, if you don't know where to begin, do not worry. If anything, just go back and pick one thing that appeals to you from this video and make that the entire night. If anything, you'll find yourself maybe adding more to it, or maybe that's perfect for you. Maybe that's all you want. And it goes without saying that you can do any of these probably on any other night too, but I do think that sometimes the ability to do something at any time stops us from doing it ever. So if you are looking for a little excuse to set some time aside to plan a night for a family, friends, a partner, for yourself, I hope that this video comes in handy. And also let me know in the comments, what are you planning to do for Valentine's Day? Are you gonna do something from this video? Do you have your own ideas? Are you keeping it low key? Are you doing something for somebody else? Ooh, you could tell me, I won't tell, I promise. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was useful to you. If you wanna know when I'm uploading my next video, then you can subscribe to the channel. If you want some tips on things that I do on my day-to-day that I think make my life a lot better, you can check out my last video. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay hydrated, and I'll see you soon.